Hi everybody, I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching SitDown. Hanging out today with Abby Quinn after the wedding, coming out Friday.
Yes.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We were talking off camera, like you shoot a movie, it's kind of out of mind, and then you're on to the next thing. You can't even really put it all together in terms of when you actually did it.
Yes. I know that we shot this last May though. Last summer in New York for like 5 weeks.
Not a bad place to be, not a bad crew to be with as well.
No, it was pretty amazing. Yeah, I live in LA, so I like having an excuse to come here and be put up somewhere. It's like, even though this is an intense movie, it kind of felt like a vacation too.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
So how did you jump into this project initially?
I auditioned, I think, maybe like a month before we started shooting. I was here for another audition, and the casting director's Douglas Abel, and I know him pretty well. He cast me in another film like 2 years ago. And when I was there, he said I should audition for this movie, and then the next day I was sent the script, and then I read the script and watched the original movie, and then went in a day later. And then I did, in LA, I FaceTimed with Bart, and he told me that he wanted me to film the wedding scene. So I did that in LA, and then found out, it felt like a month, but I think it was like 5 days later, I found out that I got the role.
I mean, that must have been a whirlwind for you, those 5 days.
Yeah, it was. I was in New Mexico filming like an episode of something. Yeah, and so I didn't have anything to do really when I wasn't filming, and I was just in my hotel room, couldn't stop thinking about it, like Googling it, because I thought it was going to get leaked or something. I don't know. Yeah, it felt long.
So did you watch the original movie before doing this?
I did. Okay. I watched it before I read the script, actually, I'm pretty sure. Which helped, and it helped a lot for the audition because it was so, you know, it was like the next day, and I felt like the woman who played my character in the original, just, I think I took a lot from her, and yeah, especially for the audition scene. It was when I don't know if I can reveal, it was a scene with Michelle, and I felt like I took a lot of notes from the woman who played my role.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with your character, and I don't want to reveal it because I want people to see this movie. But when you think about playing Grace, she's in a lot of different interesting situations. How did you prepare going through that, and what was it like actually playing that character?
It was, I was pretty nervous going into it. Even before I auditioned, there are like 10 different scenes in the script where it explicitly says Grace is sobbing, or
a lot of crying.
Yeah, like a tear rolls down her cheek, and I was really freaked out. I haven't done anything like that. I've done a lot of theater, and I mean, you know, the audience is far away. It feels like less pressure, and so I've done it in that realm, but not in film or TV. So I was pretty nervous for that. I worked with an acting coach for as long as we could, like 3 weeks up until we started shooting, and I felt like that gave me a really good foundation. And then it was just, I think, you know, it's really anxiety inducing and intense to know that I have to be super emotional, but I think the key is to, on the day, just like relax as much as possible, because if you're super tense and you're in your head, it's likely not gonna happen.
Right.
So I just had to like remind myself of that, and then hope for the best.
Definitely. And it's nice to have some women that have kind of been through some things in the past.
They're
Julianne
like,
and Michelle, who have been there, done that.
This is their forte. So that kind of helped, because they were just as emotional as me in most of the scenes, and it was just like feeding off of, the other person, which was pretty incredible. And
both of their characters go through some very emotional times.
Right.
That certainly challenges who they are in that movie.
Yeah, totally.
So everybody can kind of bond with that, I'm sure.
I don't think there was one. The wedding sequence is pretty upbeat for my character, at least. I don't know about
about everybody else.
Yeah, but I'm pretty oblivious to everything at that point.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's funny how your character goes from being oblivious to have real life just pushed right to the center of things with getting married and then finding out some new things.
Yeah. I think I started to feel like I had things figured out, or like feeling like an adult, and I, you know, have a husband and my own life, and then instantly
you have that oh crap moment.
Yeah.
And then you pour in the other things too with the family.
Yeah.
It's a lot to digest.
Yeah, I think it was kind of, I don't know, it made Grace rethink a lot of things. I think she may have been geared towards just wanting to be comfortable. And I think that's why she wanted to get married, because just a sure plan, and everything that happens and that's revealed to her kind of makes her completely rethink her whole life and who she actually is and what she wants. So kind of, I don't want to say worked out, but it just, yeah, I don't know. It shook things up a little bit for Grace.
And bigger picture also is like finding yourself in your 20s.
Right.
There's so much of that with your character as well, which is really important, whether it's on screen or just in life in general, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And you kind of have to just go through it and really ask yourself some tough questions. And I think that's an interesting thing. How have you kind of dealt with that in your own life?
Oh, my 20s?
Yeah.
I'm really excited for my 30s.
Yeah.
I've heard, I don't know, everyone says your 30s are, you're not worrying about the big things that are supposed to happen in your 20s, and you're just like a free bird. I don't know. It's been okay. I've been in LA for 4 years now, and I feel like I finally have friends and like a community there. So I think that's just made life in general a lot easier. But I think that's like at any age, just having people you love.
It's incredibly important.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I got my little bit of partying out in like my 1 year of college, and then by the time I got to LA, I was like, I just kind of came to work and audition.
I gotcha.
So maybe that'll hit me again in my 30s.
Who knows?
I don't know.
So that was Carnegie Mellon?
Yeah.
1 year? What do you remember the most about that year?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good
A lot of partying.
Not even that. I think we went to like 3 parties. It was just, for me, like, you know, maybe 40, 50 theater kids in total.
Yeah.
And like 4 parties a year. It felt like big time to me. Oh God, I don't know. We had these things called animal projects at the end of the year. It was like the big final, and I was a Komodo dragon.
Oh wow.
For like 5 weeks, and the last day all the students are brought together for a watering hole, and you're acting out your animal, and then you just all end up killing each other. And I don't remember specifics, but I do just remember like the process of becoming a Komodo dragon.
That's kind of one that's hard to forget, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I feel like I remember, it was a really great year. I really loved that. Yeah, I feel like I remember most of it.
So you just knew you wanted to jump right into the whole acting thing? Is that what went down?
I think so. I had been auditioning. I'd done theater my whole life, and then would come out here for the summers. I'm from Michigan, so I would do like Broadway camps, and then my sophomore year of high school, I got an agent and would self-tape from Michigan. But I never really gave myself the chance to like audition in person, and I felt like I wanted to take a gap year after high school, but I didn't end up doing that. So I thought I'd take a gap year after my freshman year, and then I just didn't end up going back. But I'd been planning on, basically, if I didn't get a job, I would have gone back to
So what was the first job right after jumping out of school?
So it took a couple months. I think it was in April, which is like kind of the cutoff point. By May, I would have had to decide. It was a movie called Landline, and it was 2016. We shot it. Like late April. So I was pretty relieved. I was also trying not to think about it. Right,
because you can put a lot of pressure on yourself that way.
Yeah, and tell myself that it's, I would have loved to go back to school too. So yeah, luckily it worked out, and I've just stayed out there.
Yeah, and you found out that it takes time to build it out. So you're doing the music thing, you're doing the acting thing. It's not going to hit overnight. When did you realize that?
Oh, I think I realized like way earlier than that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, because when you're doing self-tapes from Michigan, half the time, I don't even know if they're going anywhere.
Right,
like,
you get the game.
Yeah, and you can ask as many questions as you want. Like, didn't I get any feedback? But it's like, I think I learned that at 14 or 15, just feeling really far away from it, and like I didn't really have any control, which in a way helped me in LA, So I'm like, all I can control is how my audition goes and like what I'm bringing into the room, and I can't really think about what is going to happen after this or who gets the role if it's not me. So much is like, it's not up to me.
Right.
So,
there's a lot of other people.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm still freaking out about everything.
Sure.
Always.
I get that.
Yeah.
So bringing it back to the movie here, let's talk about Julianne, because you
Yes.
obviously spent a lot of time with her on camera. What are a couple little nuggets that go beyond the screen in terms of the time you spent with her?
Ooh. Well, I learned that Julie and Bart, the director, are really good at Snapchat.
Oh,
and their daughter was working on set, and she's 17 now, but she was 16. And there was one night, I think it was like 2 a.m., and she was just showing me all of the Snapchats that they've sent. One was of Bart. He had like set up a self-timer and was in a wetsuit.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if that's embarrassing for Bart, but yeah, he just like sent it to his daughter, and I thought it was funny. And they're pretty good at using filters and stuff. Yeah, I don't. Oh, she watches The Bachelor.
Really?
Yeah.
She's big into The Bachelor.
Yeah, she was watching it with her daughter when we were filming. I don't know if they're big into it.
But a woman of the times. She's realizing what's going on around her.
Yes, she does. And they were really nice. We had like a read through beforehand at their house with everyone. So I felt like I got to know them a little bit before jumping right in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about Michelle? What do you remember about that experience?
Oh, well, the first time I met Michelle and Julie, they were sitting in their backyard, and I just was like walking through this house. It felt like I was walking down the aisle. It was like this really long hallway into this beautiful yard, and my two moms are like sitting at this table. I don't remember what was said, but that was the first time I met them, and they were just so nice and welcoming. And I think Michelle, it was interesting because our characters don't know each other well, so it kind of with Billy and Julie, I felt like I had to have some sort of rapport with them, or like some level of comfort. But Michelle, we're like strangers in real life, strangers in the movie. So in between takes, we'd be kind of having the same conversations that we were having, like asking each other's characters.
Interesting.
Especially the scene where we're in the Indian restaurant. It was like we were going through a photo book, and in between takes, I'd be asking her about her siblings and, you know, where she grew up. So it worked out.
I'd say it definitely worked out, especially for that relationship on screen.
Yeah.
That's the perfect way to go about it.
Yeah, totally. But I don't know, they're just both incredible and so talented and also very strong, which I really admire. And yeah, they just kind of can command a room, but not in, I don't know, not in like an intimidating way. They're just not afraid to ask for what they want. And yeah.
I gotcha. So this was one of the first movies in a while. I didn't know how it was going to end. It was really emotional, and I want to take a look at the trailer right now.
Sure.
Because this is going to be something really interesting for people to check out, and it comes out on Friday. And thinking about the trailer, when people do check it out, I think it's going to tell them one way the movie goes, and then they're not going to expect necessarily how it ends up going down.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think even watching the movie, you're confused until it just hits you.
Even like midway through, I still didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, and then you think you do, and it changes again.
All right, so why don't we take a look at that trailer right now? There we go. Had a nice little run at Sundance. Nice. Always a good thing. So yeah, it's like, all right, I'm watching the movie. It starts out in India. There's Michelle. She's doing her thing. And then things are definitely going to change for her in a big way.
Yes.
We were promised school supplies.
Michelle's like, all right, you know, I've had this run for a little while. And it's like, wait, I got to go to New York?
She doesn't want to.
She doesn't want to, that's for sure.
But
and she's leaving. She had a whole life there, right?
She did.
You must be Isabel.
And now.
I'm Teresa.
And now it's like, here's the polar opposite of a woman. And it's funny how life kind of brings two people together like that, too, that you don't necessarily anticipate.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously they do have some sort of connection down the road, but there you are.
There I am.
Actually walking down the aisle.
Yeah. Not a real priest.
Not a real priest. Was it weird filming a wedding scene like this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It was really weird putting on a wedding dress.
Because that was the first time you'd done that, right?
I think so. Maybe as a joke at like a vintage store when I was a teenager. But this was like a real wedding gown.
But yeah, everything about this trailer says thriller, says mystery, which is like some really interesting marketing, because just like thinking big picture, like getting people to the theaters, like, yeah, they're gonna know the actors here, but they also want some other reason to pay the money and go.
I think it works.
I think it does.
It's pretty enticing, and it's true. There is a big secret.
Yep.
Many big secrets.
I don't trust your wife.
She's gonna
There
give
you
you
are
money for your
again.
charity, and you're gonna question her integrity, huh?
20 million.
Yeah.
And how about Billy too? Like he had done
Love
Spotlight.
Billy.
He's been so many different things.
Almost
Like,
Famous.
yeah, Almost Famous as
You know
well.
that you're not
best
the only one
movie
affected by
ever.
this, right?
Did you get to ask him any questions about that?
No, I didn't ask him. I just watched it for the first time after I met him, like the day after I
Oh,
met
wow.
him. And then I went to my hotel, watched it, and was like flipping out because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And then went on Tumblr and was just looking at all these Almost Famous photos. And 20th Century Women, that's like my other
That's your big
favorite.
passion.
Yeah, those are two of my favorite movies.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of women, you got Little Women coming up
Yes.
later this year, and
Yes.
that's a big one because not
It's a big
only
one.
what it represents, but also Meryl Streep, Emma Watson. Like, there's some real heavy hitters going in that way.
Yeah. The whole cast is pretty accomplished. I mean, yeah, like Laura Dern,
Yeah.
Saoirse Ronan. It's like one of my favorite actresses. It was really cool. I was on set for, I think, a week total.
Okay.
I went twice, and yeah, it was so cool. I pretty much got to meet everyone, if like only for a second. And my one scene is with Emma Watson, and we're in these big ball gowns and corsets for like 8 hours. It was really fun. And that's like, I love the 90s version of Little Women, so it was really incredible to film that.
That's awesome. And that's one of the things people don't talk about. It's like the amount of time it takes to get ready for a scene like that. Then you have to go around 8 hours wearing that stuff, just
Right.
waiting for the actual role to start.
Yeah, and it takes too long to like take it off for lunch,
Right.
so you could barely, you just couldn't eat lunch.
Yeah.
It was like so tight.
You're like, I'm just here. And that nobody should be wearing a corset to begin with, right? It's
No.
incredibly uncomfortable. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, which made me wonder what was actually happening back then.
Yeah.
Like, women were just not consuming food comfortably, at least.
No.
Like you can feel every morsel
I don't
of
think they
food
did
going
anything
in.
comfortably wearing
Yeah,
that
no,
day.
because
you
not
know?
even sitting, laying down. But
It's the only thing that was comfortable?
yes, but then you can't even lay down with your legs bent, like your legs just shoot up because because the corset. So like yeah, nothing's comfortable. But
That sucks, yeah. It's just
luckily,
not good.
yeah, I had like a week. Everyone else, the main sisters, were there for
Right,
like
much longer.
Yeah, but yeah, it was really fun.
So you told me off camera that your song is at the end of After the Wedding.
Yes.
So who are some musical inspirations and how cool is it to have that in a movie now?
Oh, it's so cool. So Bart, I have a song on YouTube, and he had texted me, I think at like the end of editing, and they were trying to use it for the credits. And it's about something totally different, and it's like 4 years old. So he told me he was trying to fit it, and then I kind of went off on my own, and I just had a thought, if I can write something for the movie, that would be better, because it would actually apply to
Fit
what's
with what
going
was
on.
going on, yeah.
So I did. The next day I wrote the track and then sent Bart a voice memo, and luckily he liked it.
Cool.
And that was what was used for a while, and then I recorded it in a studio. Yeah, it's incredible. They kind of remixed it after Sundance, so I heard it for the first time last night. And it's pretty surreal. Musical inspirations, I have a lot.
Let's hear 'em.
Right now, Big Thief, Alex G,
Okay.
Phoebe Bridgers, The Roaches, and maybe, what is her name? Oh no, I can picture it. Patsy Cline.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So what speaks to you about those people you mentioned specifically?
Ooh. God, I think it's like instantly when I hear any of their songs, it just hits me in a way. So I guess musically, like the guitar, I really don't know what it is. The lyrics are incredible, their voices too. It's all kind of, not like singer-songwriter because there's a full band,
Right.
but yeah, they're just like have been my favorite for a couple of years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when people check out the movie, there's a lot of different things to think about. Life, family, marriage, just emotions
Everything.
in general.
Yeah.
What are a couple big takeaways you want people to have once they walk out of the theater?
I think, at least speaking for my character, and I guess everyone, not being afraid to admit that you may have done something wrong, or not being afraid to make a big life change even though it might cause a lot of disruption in your own life and in those lives around you, if it feels like the right thing to do. And I think for many people, it's like you stay in a situation because it's just easier that way, and you don't want to go through the process of really
dealing with real life.
Yeah, and reflecting on why it might not be working. So I think to not be afraid to be uncomfortable, I guess, would be the big takeaway for my character.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Yeah, and to forgive. I think that's a big one too.
Yeah, definitely a big theme.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Well, Abby, thanks so much.
Nice meeting you.
Really nice to meet you. That's Abby. I'm DJ. After the Wedding premieres Friday. Go check it out. You won't be disappointed. We'll see you next time here on the Sit Down.